I am Biplab Sarkar, Associate Professor at the Department of Management Studies, PES University Bengaluru. Now, on behalf of the Department of Management Studies at PES University, I would like to welcome all of you in today's webinar on lessons from COVID-19 game-changing strategies. Now, as all of you know that the COVID-19 pandemic has created a huge challenge for business with a sudden closure of their premises and fall of revenue. This situation basically has created uncertainty about the future of many business entities. However, many business entities have focused on the new strategies and used their name in isolation to make the businesses continue. Now, this webinar basically invites industry experts to explore that how corporate entities are tackling the COVID-19 pandemic situation and what sorts of changes could become an enduring business model, what kind of strategies they are designing which endures their business model. Now, this first webinar brings to you the experts from the Wipro and Oracle India Private Limited. It's a series of webinar. The next webinar has been planned on July 25th, and after that we'll be having on August 1st. So this is the first in this kind. Now let us welcome Mr. Abhishek Banerjee, Digital Practice Head for Insurance Vertical Wipro, and Mr. Rohit Srivastava, Dispatch Manager, Oracle India Private Limited. Let me also introduce Ms. Chaitra R, student of MBA at the Department of Management Studies. She will moderate the question answer session in this webinar. Now, for the speaker, they will speak for some 20 minutes, and we'll have some 10 minutes at the end for a question answer session. Participants are requested to ask their queries using Zoom chat box only during the session. On behalf of the participants, Chaitra will communicate those questions to the speaker at the end of the session. Humble request to the participants to keep your microphone in mute and webcam switched off. So please switch off your webcam. Rakshit, I can see. Yeah, so please keep your microphone mute and webcam switch off. Now, without further ado, let us invite Mr. Abhishek Banerjee to enlighten us on the topic.
Thanks, Biplab. Hello, everyone. First of all, not just for the sake of saying, am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Great. So, so this is a fantastic platform, So Biplab has given this context. It's going to be a series of webinars, and I'm very privileged to be one of the speakers here. Now, just in case for the next 20 minutes, it doesn't happen to be a very boring monologue. This is what I had thought through. I'll be taking you through, right? Which is aligning to the agenda of this session. So maybe very initial, couple of minutes, I'll be talking about insurance as a global industry, right? Establishing the importance of insurance in today's, scenario. Understand a little bit about the functions, how the companies operate in the space. Then hit the crux of the discussion as to, come this COVID-19, what has actually changed? What the insurance organizations have been doing traditionally and what they're not being able to do today. And what are the things they're looking forward as workarounds and some of the strategies which are evolving out of this crisis situation, right? So I think in the limited interest of, limited time, this should be a good agenda for us to have a focused discussion, right? I hope it's okay, Biplab. I can just go ahead.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So insurance, plays a very important role in the society today, right? So we cannot undermine the importance of insurance organizations globally across all geos. Holds good for India, holds good for US, UK, APAC, all the major geos of the world, right? If you look at some of the insurance organizations today, they have a
Abhishek, please unmute.
sorry, is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay, so I think you muted all and then I had to.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
because some of them who have joined late.
No, fair enough, fair enough. Okay. So as I was saying, insurance, there's a lot of importance of insurance as an industry, right, in today's world. What do insurance organizations do? They pretty much, collect money from individuals, from businesses in the form of premiums, build a pool of, capacity, I would say, and they pay out in times of crisis. So if you just go to historical times, London fire, World Trade Center collapse, major calamities has been indemnified by insurance organizations. That's where lies the importance of insurance. And then in the personal space also, right? Auto insurance, home insurance. So the $1 million question today is, come a pandemic like COVID-19, is the insurance industry collectively, being able to put up the resilience, being able to support, the losses which are constantly being foreseen also in the coming days and which are happening today, right? So let's understand, what happens to us, what seems to be a very simplistic business, from a consumer point of view, it's actually very complicated. Insurance as an industry is heavily process oriented, very, very data sensitive. So the way we are going to explain this is, maybe let's look at the value chain. I mean, if you're familiar with the concept of an insurance value chain, there is this products. And once I've explained a little bit around the functions of an insurance, then it'll be able to articulate how COVID has impacted each of these sections, right? And then we are able to arrive at what is changing. So if you see, there is a products division for insurance, right? That's where they come up with different insurance products. What are the different coverages, right? How do we provide the benefits to the customers? Now, the products can be across, fire insurance, home, auto. It can be cyber insurance. It can be a business interruption. Plenty of perils out there, right? Then there comes the sales and distribution function of insurance organizations, right? So whenever you have defined a product, you have developed a product, you need to take it out to the market. There is a marketing arm of insurance, right? And most of it is now getting into digital marketing. Then there comes a very interesting part, which is called underwriting. So when an individual like myself, I approach an insurance organization to ask for a coverage, they need to assess the risk, right? The risk I'm carrying, right? When a business goes for an insurance coverage, the insurance organizations have an underwriting department who kind of looks into the risk profile for that particular area. So if I'm asking for, let's say, business interruption coverage, the insurance organization is going to look through, what is the physical location of the building, of the premises, what are the assets you have and stuff like that, right? Once you have the underwriting, the insurance policy is issued, and there is a policy administration part of it, right? So customers keep on calling, they need to change their coverages, right? For life insurance, for example, there's a childbirth, so there is additional cover, somebody buys a new house, right? It's related to the life cycle of individuals and for businesses. Then comes the moment of truth, which is what the claims. When the claims happen, all this money which the insurance organizations have collected, a part of it is paid out to indemnify, to cover up for the losses, the financial losses, which an individual and an enterprise might have undergone for the period, right? So this is the broad, functioning of an insurance organization. And each of these departments, trust me, is very, very intricate, is well staffed, right? There is a mix of on-field as well as back office, as well as mid-office functions to carry out this entire value chain. Now, if we understand this, and there are associated functions, so I had the opportunity to work very closely with insurance organizations globally, and then I have actually visited their offices, seen them operate, and which is where, I can throw a little more light as to how each of these departments, function, right? So some of them are back office functions, some of them need to be on the field. So for example, a claim happens, right? The insurance organizations had to send assessors, inspectors on the site to measure the damage, because that's going to be entailing in the amount of claim payout, which is going to be payout, right? Similarly, the sales and marketing, the sales function specifically has to be an on-field function, right? So this is specifically valid for life insurance. Life insurance comes with a lot of products which has to be sold with a consultation to the customers. So if I'm going for a term life insurance versus if I'm going for a cash flow life insurance and stuff like that, right? So we call it as an agent interaction. When it comes to the claim payout, there is a property. So even before the policy issuance, there is a pre-policy inspection. Think of a huge commercial building, right? And that building needs to go for a business owner's policy coverage. So before the insurance organization actually issues the policy and sets a premium, they need to send their workforce and do the assessment, the risk assessment of the building in terms of where the building is, what is the electrical safety, what is the fire safety and stuff like that, right? And there are functions like accounts, investments, HR, so all these things like any other organization. So this is the standard way of insurance organizations who have been operating for years together. And I talked about companies who are into this business for 100 years, 150 years, right? Some of the big names, Swiss Re is a lead insurer, right? Zurich Insurance, Prudential, Aviva, all big names across, right? So now, if you understand this, we kind of know that some functions, almost all functions are going to be affected, but to varying degrees, right? As an example, if I say marketing, most of it can be run digitally, right? So there is a lot of buzz around digital marketing, and insurance are also going into digital marketing. So marketing might be one of the least impacted areas due to COVID. So when this COVID has actually, jeopardized us, what's the first thing which stopped? People couldn't go to the offices, right? This is the impact across industries, not just for insurance. So now let's see, what happens to an insurance company in particular when his employees cannot go to their offices, right? So some of the jobs I said, let's say an underwriter who is receiving an application, who is reading through the application, who is assessing the risk, right? Depending on some field feedback, normally does their job in an office out of a desktop, right? So he or she cannot go to the office, but does this mean that the business is stopped? Answer is no. The assessor who needs to go to the field, right, to gather inputs about a property which is being insured, right? Possibly he or she cannot go, but is that, meaning that there is a complete stop to getting new business? No, insurance organizations are still issuing new policies, right? Customers, maybe business or individuals, might be needing some endorsements to their policies, some changes to their policies, right? Because, life is going on, right? So what has happened because of COVID, people are at home, but life goes on, right? So what do? They need to call up a contact center. Typically, insurance organizations have a contact center. That's not going to stop, right? There are few cars on the roads these days, right? So auto insurance is taking a hit. However, I was just recently going through some stats, very interesting stats and very alarming for insurance companies. Car thefts are on the rise in certain geos. So if we talk about high corruption geos like say Brazil, South Africa, Mexico, right? Car thefts are happening. So when a car is getting stolen, and if the insurance policy says it's comprehensive coverage, the claims are coming and hitting back insurance organizations, right? I'm just taking you first to the challenges. What kind of challenges insurance organizations have faced due to this. So operation challenges, pretty understandable. Now there are business challenges. So what kind of business challenges? To maintain the profitability of these organizations, right? So insurance organizations, how are they profitable? They're collecting premiums, they're writing business, they're paying out claims, right? But they are collecting the premiums upfront, which they're investing. That investment income forms a corpus for the insurance organizations and helps them build reserves so that they can pay out the claims. Now, the COVID has challenged us in multiple ways, right? So the economy is down, the interest rates have gone down, which means the investment income, and this is very much in layman's terms, right? So I don't intend to go too much details, but the financial impact, think about it, right? The bottom line is something the companies have to manage, right? Those are the costs. If there is a car theft happening, there's a cost. If there is a death claim happening for life insurance companies, right? COVID has claimed so many lives, right? Hundreds of thousands of lives. And so many health insurance claims are coming, right? So all those are increasing the costs for the insurance company. So how do they stay profitable in the business? So these are some of the challenges. Now look at the product side. Some of the insurance products, which are intangible products, have actually going to be quite obsolete after this COVID-19 fades out, or there's another pandemic in the years to come. Why so? Because I can take multiple examples. So maybe let's say there is a event insurance, right? So big events around the world happening. Now those events are got cancelled, right? So first is those events which were insured might have got a payout, but going ahead, it depends on whether insurance organizations want to cover those events and whether these policies, these products will see a demand or traction in the market. So a lot of thoughts are going into restructuring the products, restructuring what the insurance companies have to offer, because some of the products are getting into disputes. Another good example is a workers' compensation. So what is a workers' compensation insurance? it protects an insurer it enables an insurer to pay for any injury of their employees, the contractors, their workforce, while they're on the job, right? So, for example, if a worker in a mine, injures or hurts himself or herself, right, then the insurance pays for that, right? Now, so there is a trigger for these kind of insurance policies. How is the injury happening? Now, if somebody says that I have been in the office and then I've been hit by coronavirus, right? He or she can come back to the insurance organization to say that I need to be paid for a workers' comp claim, right? Or for a liability claim. Now, imagine the scale. So these policies are very, very popular policies in the commercial space. So there are two lines of insurance, right? Personal line and commercial line. Commercial line insurance, accounts for bulk of the premium and bulk of the money game, which goes on. So there are lawsuits, there are litigations happening, and there are disputes which the companies are ending. So that's one area where insurance organizations have got badly hit. Claims, there is a surge in claims, right? So irrespective of whether it's a COVID or not, more number of cases across PNC, across life, across health are clocking the bandwidth of the claims teams for insurance organizations, right? Sales is a function which is a horizontal function and which is definitely hit. So why is sales important for insurance? Because although personal insurance is going more into a self-service model for the last 2, 3, 5 years, life insurance still continues to be sold with a lot of consultation, right? So there are different ways of selling life insurance. People need to go talk to the customer, advise them and counsel them on their wealth and health needs and whatever is needed to cover themselves for, right? So if that last leg of sell is not happening, people are not being able to meet customers in person, sales is also suffering as a function. So you see, likewise, there are many, many areas which are affecting almost all segments of an insurance organization. So what is the remedy, right? So I have just spoken about a few challenges, right? And if you dig down into each of these areas, you will discover more and more, right? How do you renew your business? How do you your contact center operate, right? There's nobody in the contact center offices. How do you respond to your customer queries? There are high value claims which actually calls for a special investigation unit within the insurance organization. We call it as SIU, right? So if you visit an insurance organization, you'll see it's practically like a CBR FBI cell, right? People sitting with their case management tools, with their laptops open, they're collecting a lot of data, they're on the phone calls, they're checking for the credibility of the claimants. Insurance fraud is a big time problem for the industry. 10% of claims are frauds, they say in the US market. So how do you encompass all these issues? How do you address all these issues through your operations, through your alternate ways of working, now that COVID-19 has struck and people cannot even go to office, right? That's the question. So I'll just take a pause here. Biplav, do you think this is relevant, and should I be going on, or anything you want to add at this point?
Yeah, I think it's fine. You can come again once Rohit enlighten us on his part. So
sure.
I request Rohit to come up.
Absolutely.
Sure. Thank you, Biplav, and thank you, Abhishek, for setting up the stage. That helps us to build more on it. Yes, so I think I work for the global IT and the logistics part. So I'll be covering mainly the IT and the logistics section, how it is affected by COVID-19 and how the companies manage to tackle the situation, and what are the kinds of products which we may see in the future, which can help us to handle these kinds of situation if it happens again in future, which we all pray should not happen. But again, this is uncertain things and we cannot predict about it. So
Rohit,
as
Rohit, one thing, just diverting from the serious discussion, it seems like that you are covered with a transparent mask. Is it intentionally created, or it's just some technical issues? It seems like that your face is covered with a transparent. No, it's not creating any issue, but it looks like. Abhishek, can you also see this?
I think if you use a company screensaver or a laptop screensaver, so that kind of comes.
Okay. Anyway, go ahead. I just thought that it may be something innovative you have done.
No, see, I just removed the background. So if this is fine, then I can go ahead with this also. So yes. I don't have any concern.
Yeah, fine. Go ahead.
Okay, no problem. So I just started with the global IT part. So yeah, as you can see, the pandemic has hit us during the month of December, January. There were early signs when we started seeing the cases coming up in China. So the corporates and the global IT has taken some clues and tried to work it towards the pandemic things which has started to come up, because only thing which was affected was China. But the as we goes past by days, we see that the pandemic is moving across EMEA and other region. So global IT have started thinking in a different direction, that if what happen if we have to close down offices, because corporate business always prepare contingency planning. Contingency planning is nothing but if one center goes down, how the other centers can back up the complete business. We keep that in mind, thinking that one of the center is always working and the global shutdown cannot happen. But as pandemic came in, the global shutdown also happened. So because of that, you can say the global IT started scaling up things in the month of the January onwards, post you can say New Year, and started working that the virtual network system should start behaving and working for the environment, and we can start to cope up things. So moving the 40% workforce working remotely to 100% workforce working remotely was something which global IT started thinking about, and that is how you can see. So this helps the companies to start preparing for the pandemic in the month early stage. And I think most of the IT companies in India and globally have started working on this thing the moment they felt about it, because for corporates and the contingency planning is like how fast you prepare for anything to happen, and then whether do we have a action plan in place, do we can we make things work. So this helped. And trust me, most of you are not aware that, as Abhishek talked about, that when you have to take a claim, you will call a contact center. India, it's very difficult to have a contact center running when you have a pandemic and a global and the offices are closed, because India gives licensing based on building, not to companies. So if there is nobody in the building, how you can operate? So you can say the IT and the government of India work towards into getting mobile licensing, so that an employee can work from home as well as can take calls, and still it can be tracked. So you can say this is the kind of things which companies have started investing and preparing just to tackle how the COVID-19 situation can affect them. So when it comes to IT, you can say there's a lot of preparation goes on in the beginning so that we can prepare. So I can say that the motive of the IT is always vision, prepare, act, and reinvent. That's the key, because vision is you understand the changing market, start preparing yourself and the product to cater to that need for the future business, prepare the plan, gather information, gather assets which can be utilized, and when the situation happens, implement the plan so that you can come out successfully. And if there are any failures, you learn and you reinvent the same cycle again, so that you are prepared and you have done various things to get things done in that way. So this is the more of the global IT part, which we also cover. The second major section, which I run in the company, is about the logistics, supply, and chain. Before, what we can estimate from the COVID thing, that the logistics and supply has been hit a lot. You can see the kind of volume, because you order so many things. This is nothing but supply chain. You want a product, you go to Amazon or you go to any Flipkart website, you order a thing. How that product comes to you is a supply chain model. And this gets affected because this is a completely human based intervention. Somebody has to pick, pack, and ship to you. And if nobody is there in the office, how do you expect this thing to happen? How can you get your product? And more or less, the delivery can also be classified into two separate parts as essential and non-essential. I think this is the word which everybody learned in last 4 months. Essential category products are open, non-essential supplies are closed. So people feel clothes are non-essential because whatever you have, you can maintain, but you need food. So that becomes essential supply chain. So these are the things which works in the supply chain. And I can assure you the post-COVID-19 situation, the logistics supply chain business, because the way things have changed, will grow from 2,734 billion to 3,02,015 billion. That's the forecasted thing when the post-COVID-19 situation. So you can say it's a year and or 17.6% increase in the business, which is planned, which will happen because the companies have started working towards the pandemic situations, and to see if this thing happens in future, how do we manage so that such kind of supply chains doesn't get affected. You get your product, you get things done, and it solves your problem. But again, the essential non-essential things which government has put has is pretty confusing for somebody. I give you a very small example. Non-essential things for somebody may be essential for the business. Like for example, you log into a banking website to make a transaction to send money to your friend. What happens? This runs in a backend server. This needs a part if it goes faulty. And this becomes essential because it's affecting financial institution of the country. That part becomes suddenly essential. So these things are what logistics supply chains look into and try to help. And government also helps, and there are a lot of policy changed which has happened in last 4 months just to make things work, because this was creating a lot of financial issues, system down, causing interruption to the services which you get, and a lot of other things. That was the thing which we saw in the last 3-4 months. First 2 months was pretty challenging. Once the government started relaxing few things, the things becomes easier, smoother, and the supply chain started moving up. So that helps, but essential supply chain never stopped. So you can see your medicine, food supplies, and other things never stopped for you. Uh, Again, the balance of both essential, non-essential is always important, and I think there are a lot of policies and processes there which helps to solve it. But you can say that the whole industry of supply chain is primarily working for the industries like automotive, FMCG, healthcare, energy, and other things. And there are three primary modes of transport which we always see for logistics. One is roadways, railways, airways. Roadways is the widely used network in any country because not everything can move through air. Not every city is connected through waterways or airways. So roadways always comes in picture. But during pandemic situation, it was a bigger crisis because safety of the drivers was also a bigger concern to run the system, to run the supply chain model. But things have changed. It was done in a way so that the infrastructure, roadways, drivers are protected during this thing. And we tried to supply things to the users, to the end users in that way. And this affected the online industry also, which is of India, which is approximately $60 billion. And the very small section of that e-retail business was your food or the essential commodities. In last 4 months, this has gone threefolds. That the essential commodity buying through online has gone way beyond that people expected it. You can say that Walmart is application for grocery is the world highest downloaded app for the shopping, because that is what happened during pandemic. Same goes for India for Big Basket and other of small chain supply systems, which has really built up during this process. And you can see they have supplied way good things to us during this period. Now, this is what has happened. This is what we recovered. But what will happen in future? Because the companies have to start preparing for it. So I think the people who are working with global IT systems, they know that the IT products comes into two kinds of major category. One is value category, one is volume category. Value category products are the one which goes for renewal supports, like your server, storage, arrays, routers, and other things. You install it once, you keep repairing it, and then the revenues keep coming up because you have to start maintaining it. So this is your value business. So the companies who are there in the value proposition of the market, they have gained a lot. For them, there was no issues, there was no losses because the losses was recovered because of the renewed sales. The major industries which are hit was the volume product. Like you buy a laptop, you buy a mobile, you buy other small things. See, these small gadgets, you can always delay the purchase because you are going through a crisis. So this affected the volume market, but the value market surface. So this is something which company can start thinking on the portfolio part, that why don't we have the domains in both the areas so that the value business keep the company running, the operational costs keep coming in, and the volume brings in the better profit margins in that way. And I think the future enhancement which can come is that I think the people who would be watching Amazon, the way they are testing things is bringing in drone to delivery products to your houses instead of sending a man-made vehicle. So that really reduce the cost because that can help in doing so many things. You just have to create warehouses nearby, and from there, the hub can start sending products to your house. So that is one thing which is gonna work out. Second thing is, think an employee or an administrator who is working in a banking sector data center. He need your help, but because of pandemic, I can't send a technician to him to fix his server, which is a problem. What if he has a Google glasses? He can wear a Google glass, and the field engineer or the technician from the comfort of his house also can help the customer solve the problem by helping him replace the part. So see, this helps not only the employee because he is not exposed to these things, even it helps the data center inside. He doesn't get in contact with the new person. So safety of both of things have been done as well as the problem is resolved. So these are the things which now IT will start working on because this is a bigger market which they can explore and tap. So you can say the pandemic has pushed us to venture on these sectors faster than what we thought before. We thought it will come in, but these things will get a push and it will be saying that, yes, let's launch it. When next time I send a server, I pack a Google Lens in and Google Glasses in that so that I can help my customer directly. So now you can say that such kinds of research work will start now highly because this is going to be a boom for the companies to start working with. And the major players like FedEx, US, UPS, and other things, DHL, will start investing more money in such kind of delivery options, which really don't put pressure on the teams here, but rather the work can be completed, and such things cannot be. You cannot say that it will not be stopped, but at least it will not be restricted to move. So I can say like closing statement that the companies now has to be agile to cope up with the changing markets, and they should have a vision to manage challenges which is coming up. Companies which has proactive approach and a bigger vision and ready to invest in the research and development will always be successful in any kind of situation going forward. And this will be something which companies and corporates will be really building on to make sure we succeed in every such conditions in future. I think that's all from my side, Biplab. Anything you wish me to explore more?
You're on mute, Biplab.
Yeah. So yeah, of course, nice discussion. You have already touched upon the challenges, and then you have talked about that which the company would have thought to come in the future, right? This pandemic had basically pushed it very soon. So it's basically an opportunity which has created. We can say that this pandemic has created an opportunity. Of course, we have got a question from Dr. Baishakhi Mitra from Dalai Lama Institute of Management. She has already asked that what kind of opportunities do you people think in the logistic or in the insurance sector, which the pandemic has created? So if you can, probably Abhishek, if you can put some light on that.
Yeah.
Of course, you had talked about that during the World Trade Center.
No. So that was an example. So I have not really touched upon the opportunities which it opened up. So that's the second part of my
Okay. So,
so Rohit has actually set the stage very rightly. The statement which you made, Rohit, your closing statement is, right, hitting the nail at the head, right? So even for insurance, the kind of stuff, the kind of solutions through IT, which were envisaged, right, are getting expedited, right? There's no question about that. And I'll give you specific examples which kind of reinforce this point, right? See, insurance, so let's understand insurance as an industry, and I'll come to the question also, the specific question which you laid out. Insurance has been a laggard in terms of adoption of technology. Why I say laggard? If you compare with retail, if I talk about a buying experience, say through Amazon or Flipkart today, it's fantastic, right? So we see the product, we kind of feel the product, see the, the pictures, the images, the size, everything else, right, is delivered. One click of a button. No wonder why, retail sales have been booming all these years. Insurance was not like that. Insurance had relied traditionally on foundational IT for so many years. What do I mean by foundational IT? Having servers, having databases, having a network, right? Having some case management software, some policy administration systems, some claim systems, and that's about it. Of late, there was some marketing announcements like some portals, applications, right? Mobile applications and stuff like that, right? There has been a lot of talks, and, take it from me, in my last maybe a decade long, meetings and discussions with the leaders, with the stalwarts in the industry, I've realized that there has been a lot of talks, a lot of potential of technology to penetrate into the insurance industry. See, IT or information technology serves as a horizontal to different industry verticals, right? So insurance is one industry vertical, like healthcare, like aviation, like manufacturing, retail. So insurance, so let's say we are talking about the contact center problem, right? So it's very difficult, and Rohit, I cannot agree more when you say it's very difficult to run a contact center, any geography for that matter, India example. So what do we do? So we can install a chatbot, integrated to the company's website. And the chatbot is not like just a question, just a QA chatbot. A chatbot can be more and more intelligent. We call it as a CAI, conversational artificial intelligence, right? You make the chatbot, train it with lots of data so that without a human intervention, also the chatbot can keep on running and solve your first level or second level of customer queries, right? That's one. So we talked about drones, correct? So drones are massively being used, started to be used, especially in the US geography, for property inspections. You don't need to send personnel to, go and, physically survey a property, right? You can take digital imagery, take those images, process it, and get a report of the property risk. What kind of a risk is there, right? If you talk about underwriting, so when I need to look at the files and assess risks, there are plenty of systems now which will give you ready-made information about locations, whether it's the earthquake zone, whether it's a flood-prone zone, right? Whether there is a propensity of fire, bushfire and stuff like that, right? So digital systems around us have already been accumulating this data. It's only about the insurance industry to leverage on this data, right? So the step is not really an insurance organization starting to build the data from scratch, because these kind of data are accumulated over a period of time. So there are companies who are sitting on tons and tons of data, right? See, Google, for example, Google has been, a warehouse of data and can serve any industry for that matter, right? But how much is insurance tapping into that? To Rohit's point, which he earlier made, now the insurance organizations have started to look into this, game-changing solutions, right? So conversational interface, chatbots, right? Bionic advisors. Now we have been talking about bionic advisors. See how that is relevant in today's world. Now, earlier insurance used to be sold through an agent. I mean, even now, not earlier. So we are not in a, BCAD kind of a thing. However, there's a popular acronym BC going the rounds, which is like before Corona. So that way. So that way, I mean, insurance agents used to visit, they had a face-to-face meeting, right? But the industry has been talking about bionic advisors. So what are these robotic advisors, right? They sit on your health data, wealth data, and they work out the best proposition for you. Whether a term insurance will be good for you, or you want to have a cash value insurance, say you're a retired person, right? You might be outliving your income, and those kind of recommendations. That is what an insurance agent or broker does. So we are making a computer do that. We are making a robot or a robotic script to do that, right? If you talk about claims, right? Claims triaging is a big concept now. So a lot of people, if you talk about an insurance organization, there are huge teams sitting and working on claim adjudication or claim assessment, identifying whether it's a fraudulent claim or not, then looking at the eligibility of the claim, right? Whether it's conforming to the policy benefits, right? It's all manual process now. You sit with the policy document, you see that this is the claim, you see how much of an amount we need to pay out, right? That's the core of insurance business. Now, we are getting more and more AI-driven algorithms to solve that part of the puzzle, right? So we are getting signals and insights for the underwriter, for the claim handler to say that, okay, this is a clean claim, this needs to be paid out, whereas this is the claim where there's a fraud indicator, this is the claim which needs further investigation. So what essentially is doing is it's removing the first level of human interaction. This is an implication, right? Because today, a claim handler needs to walk into his or her office, which is a physical office location, right? Now, if these systems are installed in the home laptop or whatever it is, right? So a bulk of the job is getting created. It's also solving your automation problem, right? I talked about the surge of claims, a high number of claims coming in insurance way. So if you can have some automation, and now earlier this automation was being practiced, now there is a more scope for intelligent automation. What is intelligent automation? You are backing it up by some AI engine. The AI engine can be, very, very rudimentary, of course, right? So because nowadays we talk about AIs who are predicting the results of a soccer match, right? We are not going to that level, right? We don't need that. For the bread and butter of the industry, for the bread and butter of survival, all we need is analyze some data, work out a pattern, and reduce the human labor or the chances of a human touch point, right? So there are multiple technology points in insurance industry, and I can give you the stats. So there are different kinds of insurers. Okay, so one is the low level, very just newly started, maybe 5 years into business, those kind of insurance companies, right? Then there are the tier one insurers, right? Tier one insurers are like maybe $5 billion USD premium, yearly premium, right? And then there's mid-range. So I was going through some of the industry stats, which says that the mid-sized insurers, right, have actually significantly doubled up the investments in technology and digital, right? So we are seeing that happen because the insurers who had now been reluctant to use IT in the system because their business model wanted minimum intervention of IT, are now seeing the value of IT. And what is the foundational IT now? So if you see the LinkedIn, any of you just go to the news, you will see 95% of the workforce on an average for insurance organizations are working from home today. This is a challenge, right? Because if you look at the culture, see, if I talk about an IT organization like a Wipro or any, my organization, any other organization, people typically are accustomed to this way of work. We sit with a laptop, we open some systems, we connect to remote portals, databases, and work, right? In general, I'm talking about. And insurance company employees are always used to be, an 8 to 5 or 8 to 5 kind of a job, right? So what is the immediate solution? IT organizations have provided them a virtual desktop, right? A live workspace, right? Collaboration tools where meetings are happening. So you can actually, so like we are doing, right? It's a form of a collaboration tool. You can have whiteboard, and those tools have come into prominence, right? So whatever we could do to kind of facilitate the mid and back office functions of an insurance organization, I spoke about the functions, is being done. Whatever we need to improvise further, to make the human effort more and more redundant, or maybe moving the human effort to the more complex parts of the value chain, there the adoption of technology is being expedited, right? Because people are seeing that value. And this is how, things are changing. The other thing which I must say here is the small agencies are definitely suffering some damage. Because there is it might be very utterly wrong to say that nobody in the industry has suffered any losses, right? Nobody has lost their business, although this is very prominent in hotel or hospitality industry, aviation sector, that people have closed down, shops have closed down. It's not that for insurance. However, some insurance organizations, some agencies who really cannot adopt this technology to get their things done have suffered, right? So unfortunately they have suffered. There has been drop in business, there has been drop in revenues across. But if you look at the major, we go by the percentages, right? 80% of the insurance business is being supported by maybe top 20% of insurers, right? They are doing really stable. They are really there to support the society, the community, their customers, and the employees. So that's kind of a summary statement which can safely be arrived at. I think that's all from my side, Biplab.
Okay. Now in between, I have got a very nice 2 queries from Professor Brijesh Singh from PES University. So one is, of course, what we are discussing right now here is he is more interested to know that according to his data research, he is saying that China's has shown a growth on GDP in the first quarter of 2020 post-pandemic, that is April to June quarter, hinting a V-shaped recovery, right? So it's a V-shaped recovery. So he would like to know, or interested to know, that do you think that India will also rebound with a V-shaped recovery, or it will take time to come back on its feet? So probably you people are there who's experiencing that, how businesses are happening. So the way China has come back, do you think that India will also show some kind of, because the discussion already there, right? As you know, that people are saying that India will also benefit a lot from this pandemic. China may lose a lot of businesses. We can benefit in that. So can you please give some idea, if you have that, what the India's benefit it may be? So I'll go to Rohit first, and then probably I'll come to Abhishek.
Sure. Thank you, Biplab. And that's a very great, nice question. And trust me, there are a lot of things which is going on, which will make that happen. Uh, if you're not aware, just to give you a little hint, the medicine, even though wherever it is getting developed, in the end, it is coming back to India for manufacturing only. There are centers in India only which can do mass manufacturing, because nobody's going to go back to China to get the medicine manufactured. So this is one of the areas when it comes to medicals, this will be the
Even
booming
even
sector.
WHO also says that India itself can produce all the vaccine required in the world, right?
Yeah, because we have a good resource of raw material and the organic things which we can help to do that. But there are centers which is already selected. I can't disclose that names that easily over here, but there are centers which is already being selected in India, which will be used for mass production of COVID vaccine also. So now you can say that once the vaccine is back in India and it is being manufactured here, who will be the first person getting benefited the most? We Indians will be the ones. This is gonna put the money back in the volume, and the recoveries can start happening. Second thing, which is happening, a major change in IT is that no office but only work is something which is coming up, because most of the IT companies, you can see, they're letting go of their business buildings. They don't want to spend on infrastructure now, but they want to rather spend on the infrastructure of servers and networks, so that people can widely work from home.
Yes, he
Um,
also has a question on that. I'll come to that once you
yeah, I think if you remember, the TCS has already announced that 60% of their workforce will only work remotely. Now, if this 60% goes back to home to work, the amount of space this will save. So now you can say the cost will save. This is a straight operational profit, where the operational margin will increase and the profitability increases. This is one of the few examples where you can see the companies are taking a drastic change in the way they used to work. Instead of just coming to office for 9 to 5 job, they are asking that you work from home and I will give you everything at there. You want a laptop? I'll send you. Trust me, they're sending even office chairs now, so
know.
that you can comfortably work from home. You don't have to come to office. You need things, I'll give you. In the end, my output should not reduce. And that's what. And trust me, this is will bring follow the sun guidelines. People who, the companies which follow the sun. This is going to be a major boom for them, because this will make the center available 24/7 and people can be ready. So these are the benefits you can see, and the IT will have a good V-shaped recovery. That is what will happen, and India is on the track. It's only thing that the news never shows this. That's why people feel that we are only going through a problem, but there are a lot of recovery things which is happening in the back end, and which the country itself, the ministries are trying, even the IT companies are trying. So this will really help us to bounce back faster than what we expected.
Okay, Abhishek, some comment on China's V-shape and our V-shape growth.
Yeah, so the V-shaped is a term which is being used, and see if I apply. So I have 3 points here. Okay, first is the common sense. People are shut down in their homes, right? So people have this propensity to spend now. Once they can go out, they will be spending on vacations, they will be spending on food, they will be spending on n number of things. These are lifestyle spends, right? So there's no doubt, and all the business leaders across the world are saying that is going to be a very sharp economic recovery whenever that happens. The key is we get through this pandemic. Now, if I relate this to a company's GDP, so the US GDP, for example, is supposed to be having a 30% contraction during the next year, right? So likewise, for all GDPs are going to fall. Now, insurance has a straight correlation to a country's GDP. And I am just sharing a personal experience here that why we work globally and we're also working with Indian customers. I see a lot of Indian insurance organizations trying to experiment with new ways of working, right? In terms of technology, in terms of changing in processes, and in terms of the customer appetite, right? You will see a lot of new COVID-19 coverages being launched by Indian insurers, right? Corporates are offering them through, so these are offered directly to the consumers as well as through the corporates, right? So every organization is offering to the employees. There are new coverages being proposed. The insurance organizations are changing. It's a culture change. What that means is the insurance premium is also likely to go up in the emerging. So there's a demarcation of the geo, right? When I talk about US and UK, these are advanced, these are developed countries. That's how the lingo goes, right? We are talking about developing countries where there is a potential for such markets, right? That has also opened up. So one is your IT spends, right? And the other one is your appetite to, get more and more of insurance, right? We call it in technical terms as the insurance density. What is the insurance per capita of the population, right? What is the penetration, right? That is also going to rise because of that, fear of the pandemic, fear of, say, something else comes up, right? Jeopardizes the life. So people are going to take more and more insurance, and in its capacity is going to, relate to the GDP growth as well. So yes, so that's what I feel as well.
Okay, linking to that, actually, I already have one question from Dr. Raghavendra. So he is a medical practitioner. So he's trying to say that, look, you are saying, Abhishek is saying that business is going to grow, right? Insurance business is going to grow. Now, he's talking about then what is the cost of premiums for individual and different group insurance? Is it going to cost less for the consumer? Something good we'll see in the future. As you know that India hardly, if I talk about the individual insurance or consumer insurance, then it's very low level, right? So if there is an opportunity to increase the businesses, what will happen with the premiums, both in individual and also in the group insurance coverage?
Very, very good question. Very good question. So thanks for that, right? So, so the answer is very simple, right? Some lines of businesses will grow and the premiums will get affected in a particular way. Some others, it will be affected in a different way. So let me take an example. So car insurance, auto insurance is now having a shrinking market. And globally, I cannot quote an Indian company here because it's not coming to my mind right now, but I can always get back. But globally, almost all auto insurers have been refunding the premiums to their existing customers, right? So why? Because they are having to pay less for, so there are no cars, people are not driving, right? Why would they pay for insurance? So similar things, the products which are seeing a lesser demand in the post-COVID-19 situation, the premiums are definitely going to drop, right? Maybe the product is going to be dropped at, overall, and even if the product stays, the premiums are going to be subsidized. That's for sure, right? Because otherwise there's no way insurance organizations can sell those products. However, for the newer, does that mean the products for the newer products will be higher? No. A very good example can be cyber insurance, right? See, now every one of us, I'm sure we are aware that the cyber hacks have proliferated, right? Because there's a lot of use of digital media, online accounts, right? Online transactions, and cyber crime is at its all-time high. So earlier we were looking at a global $20 billion cyber insurance market. I think that would have pretty easily doubled or at least been 1.5 times now by 2025. This was the stat. Now, cyber insurance, when it started off, see, nobody says that, okay, we know that cyber crimes are happening, right? But we are hopeful that it won't happen to be. But what if, I find my laptop, some ransomware coming up and there's a red alarm and all my data is lost. I'm being charged via a cryptocurrency, right? And today's news I was seeing, there is a hack on the Twitter accounts, and these events are going to proliferate, right? So I was talking to an Indian insurer, of course, I cannot disclose any names, but very interesting. Indian market is now looking to tap into the potential of cyber insurance, right? So they're already in talks of launching a cyber insurance product on a personal level. So maybe, you know, I'll buy my own personal cyber insurance, like I buy my health insurance coverage. Companies are going to buy their own cyber insurance, right? Now, with those kind of products, which are the new introductions, the price is going to be initially high, but as it picks up, it's also going to rationalize. So when I say that insurance is going to be widespread, insurance is going to be more acceptable in the society, that means the premiums are going to come down. It has to be that way, right? If you talk about some of the developed countries, say for example, Switzerland, you know, it's a recent example I can take. An average individual, goes for around 12 or 13 different kinds of insurances, right? Whereas in India, we have a mandatory car insurance. Many of us don't have a house insurance, a fire insurance, right? Or a liability insurance for that matter. Apart from businesses, nobody has a liability insurance. So I'm saying that if, for example, on a lighter note, Mr. Biplov comes to my house and, you know, he slips on a wet, slippery floor, God forbid, he can actually go and breaks his touch wood, but then he can sue me. And that's the case for a liability insurance, right? In India, we are not concerned about that. But what if people say that a very nominal rate you can buy a liability insurance? People will go for it, right? Sorry for the crude example, Viplab, but this is the point. So I think insurance is going to be accepted more and more in the Indian scenario, and the pricing and the premiums are going to be at a fairly affordable range, and which will help the growth of the market as such.
No, yeah, thanks, Abhishek. Actually, if it helps you to explain the phenomena better, then of course I can consider that you have taken my name. I don't think that it should happen with me. Now, linking to that, actually, what Rohit was talking about, and I'll again come to the question which Professor Brijesh asked. That Rohit says that, companies are now not investing on the infrastructure, buildings, office spaces, and etc. Rather, they are investing on a server. They are facilitating the employees to set up their office at home and etc. and etc. Right? So even for chairs, we could also say that in the educational sector also we get a lot of support from, and we also realize that the importance of server and etc. and etc. Now, in this context, what Professor Bijesh was asking that he connected this phenomena, work from home, and the talent acquisition, right? So when people are asked to work from home, and then what do you think that how recruitment processes will happen? Will they see the office sometime, or they will start working from home itself? So how ITs are going to recruit people? I know you are not from HR, but still, if you can put some light on that.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting question, and that's the kind of thing which is really being explored now. Because what happened previously, they used to set up an office. Like for example, office is set up in Bangalore, so the preference was normally given to the 70% employee who are staying in Bangalore, so that they can come and easily work from the office, and things are pretty okay for normal for the company. But think the same scenario changed. Now you're asking everybody to work from home. Will the company be looking into somebody hiring from only from Bangalore? Now they're open to buy anybody, because now I have to only send him a laptop, ask him to take an internet connection and ready for work. So yes, this dynamics is gonna change. HR is gonna tap on this, because the state conditions may change on this, and there will be a possibility that the company may expand this. And you can say that because every city has a different kind of cost margin, and the cost of the employees from coming from different states and cities varies, and they can take up. So think for somebody staying in a village in Tamil Nadu who is skilled, and he can work from there instead of coming down to Bangalore to work for a company. So this will really open up that space also. So you can say the pressure on the cost of reducing the operating cost and keeping the employee cost also to the lowest will bring in kind of resources from a different side of the city, from the country, where it is available on an economic rate. So that will happen. So this is some possibility which you will see which will happen. I'm not trying to scare anybody, because the best talent always gets it. It's not the question of that. But yes, the companies do look for smaller options also. The things which, as Abhishek mentioned, there are front office and back office, and in the back office jobs can be distributed across the country so that they can work in any kind of condition. that is much better, and it will be really reducing the cost on the overall.
I
So
want to
yes.
pick up this point. Yeah, I want to pick up this point. See, this particular thing can be one of the game-changing strategies for insurance, right? Because in insurance, there is a very urgent need for a specific skilled resource, right? For a line of business. I'll give you an example. So there are specific accident creation, recreation experts, which an insurance organization hires, because see, the claims go up to millions and millions of dollars. Who is at fault? Let's say a very deadly accident has happened, right? An insurance company is supposed to pay out the claim. Who is the driver at fault? So in that case, they need specialized skills to recreate that accident, find out the driver at fault, right? Work the litigation cases, right? And there is a dearth of skills locally. So what is happening is an underwriter or a claims specialist or a claims negotiator, right? Ideally had to be located in the same location where the incident would have happened, right? And insurance companies had a lot of bandwidth challenges, right? They didn't get the best right guy for those kind of claims. Now they can actually extend the skill with a remote working interface with some devices to all across the nation, or maybe international, right? So this is opening new fronts for the insurance sector, hiring and getting more skills at work.
Okay, nice, Abhishek. Okay, we are almost close to 6:31 now, so we almost 1 hour. So I'll go to Chaitra. If Chaitra, a lot of questions,
Yes, sir.
by the way.
Yeah,
A lot of questions people are asking. So probably we'll take one or two more.
Okay. Yes, sir. We have a lot of questions, so we will post a few of them, if it is okay. Okay, sir, there is a question from Shivan Gowda. This is to Rohit, sir. He's asking, how can we differentiate essential and non-essential things, because they are interrelated? As you said in the beginning, for one it is essential, and for the other it is not essential. So how are we differentiating on it?
Okay, now this is a very tricky question and a tricky answer also. Essential and non-essential is defined by government. It's not defined by the IT industry. So if you ask me, essential is only your milk, vegetables, gas, water, and these things, and medicines are your essentials. Rest everything for government is non-essentials. Now, this is not the way IT can work, because for us, we can't be putting milk in a server to make it work. We have to need a part. So the essential for the IT industry is to make sure that the infrastructure is always there and ready. So we come up with sectors with government where we define few of these data centers are essential service acts, where they work for the essential activity of the country, like financial institution, banking structure, insurance. So these backend data which get processed comes here. So these are the essential sections. So we take a separate licensing for it, so that if there is any such kind of issues, we can still be operating. And if we need something, it can be supplied to us. So yes, it goes in a very different way, the way government has explained essential to people and the way actually essentials are. So yes, it is there. I hope I answered that question to them.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Chaitra,
Thank you.
next.
Yeah. So there is a question from Rakshit where he's asking, in service sector, the upward arrow where wants are getting converted into needs for the customers, how companies are trying to fill the gap without changing customer perception towards a product or the company?
So is this an open question to both of us, or do you want someone to start with?
I think this is more relevant for tangible products, Rohit. So you can take it, and I can add the insurance perspective.
Sure, thank you. See, when the needs is very different and the wants are different. So yesterday mobile was was a want. Today it became a need. So now you can say, because uh, while staying at home with having particular kind of services around me, I don't need that kind of upgrade to happen. But when I was in going to college offices, the every new mobile was a need or a want in that way. So yes, this is going to happen, but the companies are also trying to explore much better functionality for the people, which can be there for a very lasting effects. So it will be there. The especially things like you are doing a virtual room over here, you're doing it in a laptop. Now you see a laptop which is coming in 15,000 rupees to 2 lakh rupees. Again, it depends upon the kind of sector you're working in, and that's the kind of investment you will do. So the customer market will depends upon the kind of sector they work in. The industries will always make sure that they customize the product to fit into that customer's requirement. So when the need become wants, is can be fulfilled. They will see there are a lot of things which keep coming to you as a reminder memories. Like for example, if I take an example of old, Surf Excel has a highest market share, but you still see the ad in the new ads when on the TV. Why they have to give a ad? Very simple question. They are the leaders. They have the biggest market share. The only reason why they gave, so that you keep reminding you about their presence. So the companies will always keep inventing themselves to give you a product which caters your wants, not just your needs.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have extended the time which we have thought of to wind up. But thank you.
I think I promised that I'll have insurance.
Okay, you will add to that.
Maybe,
Yes,
maybe whoever asked the question might be
yes, yes.
Please,
Please,
really quick, right?
Please go ahead.
So for insurance, I think this is again another very critical thing coming in, the need versus want, right? But you have to understand that the need and want for insurance sector is not for the product, but actually for the service around it, right? And that is the key. So what is an insurance product? I need a house insurance. What is the service around it? How is it delivered? How do I purchase insurance? How do I get a claims experience? Do I get the money in time? Can I change my policy, right? So from that angle, insurance is getting more into a service oriented operation, and it's piggybacking on leveraging IT and technology for that, right? So now you don't talk about a conventional car insurance. We have a ride share insurance. Each of us pay 1 rupee or 2 rupee when we hire a Ola or Uber, right? It's called a ride share insurance. We don't take a comprehensive travel insurance. Maybe a time will come, you swipe on your mobile and say that I'm boarding a flight, I need a cover just for the next 8 hours of the flight, right? So it's called just-in-time insurance. So that's the way insurance organizations are trying to bridge the gap between need and want of the customer by enhancing the service part of it. That's about yeah. That's it, Viplam.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks, Abhishek. Thank you, Rohit, to give us so detailed, enlightened discussion we had. Of course, we have pile of question, right? And I don't know how to handle that. Probably we'll put all of them together and we'll mail it to you. And maybe you have to come again sometime soon to address those queries and questions. So on a note that thanks for a very nice discussion. Now, this is the first webinar in this series, right? So we are going to have 3-4 more in this series. So the next one, which is going to come on July 25th. So July 25th, probably at 5 or 5:30, we'll be having our second webinar, again with 2 experts from the industry. And after that, we had already planned August 1st. So I hope that those who are already here in this platform, okay, so yeah, am I audible now? Okay, so the second thing is that sorry, a lot of people were waiting to join the webinar, but they could not do it because of the limit which we had. But we have recorded the session, so of course right now I can't communicate them that this will be circulated. So let's not get disappointed. Of course, if they could have attended directly, it would have been much better. But we are going to circulate those videos. So on those note, we'll try to conclude this session here. I would thank the speaker, Abhishek Mukherjee and Rohit Srivastava, both of them. I thank Chaitra to help us out in the back end working on this. I would like to thank specifically to the Vice Chancellor of PES University and the Chairperson, Dr. Veena, from the Department of Management Studies. Without their help, of course, that would not have been possible. We had a very nice backend team behind which was working on this idea, and hopefully, and also the PES media, which has circulated the information, the website, social media, and etc. Deepak Anand. So I would like to thank all of them, and hopefully, probably we'll try to fix that technical issues, and in the next session we'll be able to allow more people on the webinar. Probably we'll allow all 500 possible, but this time we could not do it. So sorry for that. Thanks again. Thanks all. So we are going to end here. Chaitra, do you have anything to say?
I would like to thank both Abhishek and Rohit sir for the valuable information for us. And yes, we had so many questions. I think you have answered in your information itself. So thank you, sir. Thank you from PES University and from student side.
To the participants, we are looking forward again, all of you to join our next session on July 25th. So let's see you again, and I'll also look forward Abhishek and Rohit to join us again in the coming events. Probably again we'll be having you as a speakers in the near future. Thanks.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Thanks everyone.
Thank you. So thank you, Biplav, for giving us the opportunity.
Thank you.
And it's really nice. And we were also excited to talk to all of you and take up your questions. So it was really a nice experience. Thank you for that.
So it will be really good if we can get those questions, Biplav or Chaitra, right? That will really be.
Yes. We'll compile that and we'll forward it to. Okay, thanks.
Hope the session was useful. Thank you so much.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.